This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
You know, they did me wrong. They did me dirty. They made me drink. But I'm not a baby. I'm not a kid.
And co-host Marnie Winfield.
You know, you can be pretty sure that the decision that you made was the right one. God kind of paved the way for what was supposed to happen, I feel.
It is the 7th of September, 2021. My name is Corey Winfield. Marnie not joining us today. We'll explain that in just a second. It is the 217 Recovery Podcast. Joining me, very special guest, his second or third time on the show. It's Jason Vawter. Jason, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man. Appreciate it. I'm glad to be back on with you, buddy.
Yeah. Is it the second or third time?
So this is the second time. It should have been third, but you're slow to get back with me. So Here we go on number 2.
Nice. Well, you're doing good, though, right?
Yeah, man. Day at a time, right? That's always how it works. Just a day at a time. I freshened up on my stats. I remembered last time I looked right before, and I thought I better look again to see where we are.
Nice. And you're in Lansing, Michigan.
I am. East Lansing.
Oh, it's the big
it
difference.
Matters. I mean, they take care of the city in East Lansing. That's why I live here.
Ah, so the actual city in Lansing, it's just like politicians and prostitutes? Or?
I never heard anybody say it that way, but maybe it is politicians and prostitutes.
That's what my mom told me.
I mean, you make the wrong left and the wrong right, and you're looking for the wrong people.
It's prostitutions, politicians, and problems, I think was the... Anyway.
Listen, I could see all those things.
No, so you're doing good. You got 6.5 years sobriety, right?
Yeah. We just crossed 6 years and 7 months on the 3rd. So last Friday the 3rd, crossed your 6 years, 7 months.
I saw you posted a picture with your brother.
Yeah, you know, it's crazy when he and I talk about it because he, on September 22nd, will have 7 years since he quit shooting heroin. And he picked up drinking after, which he didn't know at the time, but it scratches the same itch. You probably know this.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Alcohol and heroin scratch the same itch. Well, last December, you know, I had been kind of like brotherly prodding him to like kind of look at what you could do. He has a really good job, makes really good money. And so like I had to try to explain to him that with alcoholism, especially when you've got a really good job, and you probably could speak to this as well, it's not as easy to find rock bottom, right? You're not going to have this crash to life moment if you're paying all your bills and doing all the things right otherwise, right? A lot of people never do. And he finally quit last December 1st drinking as well. And his life has catapulted since then. It's extraordinary.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people, once you become an addict, you're an addict to all things. You know, it could be food, it could be sex, it could be church, even working out, you know, podcasting.
Anything can be unhealthy, right? Anything can be unhealthy.
I put a comment on the picture that I bet your family's proud, and I bet they are, man. They are really proud. You know, our family has been very supportive. And for a long time, Adam wouldn't come around the family. And I used to tell him, I was like, you're missing it, right? We support. That's what we do no matter what. I don't know if it was it was 2 years ago because we didn't do anything for the family like Christmas last year. But he finally came, right? And everybody was so overwhelming. Oh, my God, Adam, it's so great to see you, right? And we left and we're coming back. And he's like, you were right, man. He goes, I was so nervous going. He goes, but it's exactly what you've been telling me all these years would be like. So for me, that was really great. You know, I realized a while back, Adam had made a passing comment about how you learned so much from me, right? And our father's not around anymore. And so I've really been trying to be more of a leader with Adam so that he's got somebody to lean on for advice and things like that since our dad isn't around anymore. So I think we get to, plus we're both sober now, right? And that makes a big difference. His attitude, just everything about him, it's like a 180, and you watch somebody really realize their value. I tell people all the time, Corey, I am more excited about Adam's success than my own success. Like it's crazy, but it's 100% true. The fact that he did come around and was able to put his guard down a little bit, I guess. But we're always thinking that people are going to judge us or this and that. And it's family, man.
Well, and think about what that does for your confidence, right? He walked in there with low confidence on what the reaction was going to be like, right? And he walks out with his exorbitant confidence levels, and he'll never be fearful like that again. So that's the beauty of that. Was it for me, as I thought now he gets to see that. It was like him leaving a company. He had a boss, an owner that treated him terrible. And I would tell him all the time, like, he doesn't value and he's never going to, right? He was so scared to leave this place, his only place he had had professional success as an adult. He was so scared to make that change, right? But he found out immediately when he started putting his name out there that he had a really good reputation in the Grand Rapids area, that everybody knew who he was, and that everybody was dying to bring him on board. So now he's in this 180 where he goes to work every day looking forward to it, enjoying those he works with, no stress. The ownership treats him properly and all these things, right? And like I told him, now think about it, right? He's getting these like, oh, wow. I was like, wow, I can't believe it. I said, when's the last time you looked at the promises? I was like, be amazing to see all that's happened on those promises now, wouldn't it? He's like, I hadn't thought about that. So he went and read those, right? And I told him, you just find these little reminders, right? That's the little reminders will let you know you're doing all the right things. We keep just believing that if you make the next right decision, you're probably going to be in good shape and things are going to work out good for you in the end.
Yeah, those promises do come true.
It's crazy, bro.
And it takes reminding sometimes to really kind of kick it into gear to look back at it and go, wow, yeah.
Humans naturally look forward, right? We want to look forward. What's the next thing to accomplish? I noticed that I did it, and I've noticed that it's just prevalent where we accomplish a goal, and the first thing we do is move on to the next thing, right? Mm-hmm. We don't even take a second to enjoy the fact that we just accomplished that goal. It's a big deal, right? Take a second, man. Enjoy it. Treat yourself. It's cool. Take yourself out to dinner. Get a round of golf, whatever, right? But man, God, take a second and enjoy the right now. I read this neat book recently called The Science of Mindfulness. And it was a compilation of lectures done by this world-renowned doctor. It was so fascinating where they really just preach being in the moment, really being in the moment, though, not like what most people believe to be in the moment, right? And I find all this practical application for it when I'm faced with anything, right? You just realize that none of these things that you encounter really are tied together, right? Humans have it a way. We want to tie everything together, right? I've been on this terrible string of luck lately, right? None of the events in that terrible string of luck have anything to do with one another, right? They all happen to you, and somebody else had a bunch of things that happened to them, right? And they're just all coincidences and individual events that happened. But we like to tie them all together and make it seem like it's bigger and broader than what it actually is, which is just the world is full of singular events that happen to happen the way they do, and it's for no rhyme or reason other than just the circumstance. And so I started focusing a lot more on that, right? The right now, nothing more than right now. And I find that, it's just quieter. You worry a little bit less, you stress a little bit less, and you feel a little bit more focused.
Yeah, I think it's very important that I'm actually talking with you today because of the things I'm going through in my personal life. With Marnie and I, we just had miscarriage, and looking at where we've come. I mean, I'm coming up on 3 years clean. It feels to me like 100 years clean. And you're right. All those things that I want to do, have I taken the time to stop to just stop and look back to go, look what I've done so far, man. Like if I would have told myself, 2 years and 8 months ago or whatever, this is where you're going to be in 2 years and 8 months, I'd have been like, you are crazy. There's no way I'm going to be doing all that, but for real. And I think sometimes I do need to just put the brakes on, stop it, and just reflect on the right now. Like, what do I have right now? Right now my wife has COVID. And, I got to get through that. And now do I have COVID? And maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know. I go tomorrow at 11:45 to get tested. I probably don't because I have Neanderthal genes. Neanderthals don't get COVID, so I heard. But then I looked it up on Google, and it actually said the opposite. So I'm really confused now. Jason, help me on this one because I'm trying to live in the now.
Bro, I think you're doomed. I think that right now is you got COVID too close to you. Hopefully you don't get it though. Hopefully you don't get it though, right? So all I keep thinking, I luckily live alone, work alone, right? So like, I don't get around anybody that's got it, but hopefully you don't. One of those things you just think it's an event for right now, right? As the saying goes, kiss the bird as it flies by. Don't hold the bird for yourself, right? Let it come and go as it does. On to the next thing, right?
Yeah. That's pretty much all I can do. I mean, maybe make her some dinner. I don't know. But you had COVID,
worry, right? You ever notice that though? All the trouble borrowing that happens, all the things that could happen, this could happen, that could happen. My dad always taught us, right? Don't borrow trouble. So I preach this and I live this, right? But everybody does it. I even sometimes do it, which is to say, well, this could happen and this could happen and this could happen. They could. They could not as well, right? Just as easily. And so that's one of those, you cross that bridge when you get there on everything. Like COVID, perfect example, right? You're wondering, do I have it? Don't I have it? Right? Who cares? Who cares? You have no idea and you won't know until tomorrow. So why even think about it, right? If you do, then you take it from there, right? And if you don't, then you take it from there. You know, you have a direction you're going to go based on what the outcome is anyways. You already kind of know what that'll be. So it's just, you just roll with it as it comes.
Can I ask you a question?
You sure can.
Did you search, is sex better with COVID on Google?
I forgot to search that. I believe that got on the task list, but may have been overlooked.
I didn't either. Cause see, I don't know. My mind works a little different, Jason. So like part of me wants COVID so that way it can just be fun. You know, it could be, remember like back in the day when we were in 5th grade, 6th grade, whatever, sick day, but you weren't really sick. Because we're both vaccinated, and I think if she's got COVID, which she had a test say that she does, she's not feeling the worst of it. I think that's already came and gone. So it could just be like, you get free sick days, man.
The world is full of free sick days now. Now, nobody encourages you to push through it, right? Do you ever hear anybody saying push through it? Not one person ever now.
Nope.
The big players tell you to stay home. Anyway, places like Google and Facebook, there's no such thing as sick days. If you're sick, don't come to work. That's what the sick day is. It doesn't count against you.
Well, because the people who own the businesses don't want to die because they have money and they have stuff to live for, they think. So they're like, don't get me sick. You peasants. Common
sense practices, right? That's right. All any of that stuff is, right? Just common sense practices. If you're sick, keep your sick ass home.
Mm-hmm.
And if for free sick days, good for you. Get some days to quarantine, whether you're sick or not, right? Those are, file them under the, whoops, I might have COVID.
Well, for me, it really sucks though, Jason, because my college courses just started. So,
oh man,
yeah, but I'm taking them all from home, so like I have to still do them. It doesn't matter if I have COVID or not. So I don't think I have COVID, but
it was better when we went to school.
Back in them days, pagers, tight rolling our jeans.
That was oh my god, Pelly Pals.
Oh yeah,
and Jinko jeans, killing it.
The good days. You wanted to talk to me about starting a podcast.
I do.
What's up with that?
So we've got a title, right? Obviously, you know, I'm legally blind. So we're going to call the podcast the Blind Recovery Podcast. So recovery is broad, right? Recovery is broad. It's not just the removal of drugs or alcohol from your life. Recovery is a way of living, really. And I want to talk about my journey. Part of it for me is I can't write a journal and then go back and read it. So I thought if I'm going to put all these things to like an audio platform anyways for me to go back and listen to, why not have that be in the form of a podcast and maybe it benefits somebody else? Who knows? So infant stages, I've been doing some research on it, try to get familiarized. I was using an app I had downloaded that was rated really well for podcast creation the other day. Did like a 5-minute segment just to like see what it felt like to be on that end of it. It was different, of course. I'm sure, I mean, for you, it's probably no big deal after so many years on radio, but it's getting used to just talking to nobody, yes. Right? Like if you do a podcast alone where you're just talking to nobody and Marnie's not there, that's the weird part. And so that's where I want to get like a little comfortable, but listen, I think it'll go well. You know, I've got the gift of gab and I've had an interesting life with a lot of things that have happened that I've overcome, right? And we're here because I was able to overcome those things. And often you feel like you're the only one, right? I'm the only one going through this situation or that situation. even when you literally know others going through it, it still is this feeling of alone. And so I want to be able to get involved in that, help people realize you're not alone, right? You probably saw the sober night out that I'm putting together in the Lansing area using my party bus company. We're going to start doing a recurring sober night out where we'll have like an activity and a meal. I had an overwhelming response from this when I posted about it in the community group on Facebook just to see, what kind of ideas we could come up with. And it was, overwhelming. I had not only tons of great ideas, but I had a bunch of business owners hit me up saying they wanted to be involved in it as well. So that's something else, right? I don't know, man. The more removed I've gotten from the party world, the more I'm just, pushed away by it. Like I'm not into it whatsoever, but I really miss people. And the part of sobriety that's been challenging is replacing that social aspect of life. And so I thought some sober nights out and shit like that would be a lot of fun to do. Selfishly partly, but I think it could benefit a lot of other people doing it. Seems like it would.
No, it will. And hell yeah, those businesses are reaching out because they know sober people have money.
Right. Duh, exactly.
And sober people, they don't fight. Well, I mean, they might fight, but I mean, it's not the drunken fights. It's not the stupid messes. Here we come, these drunk people again. No, it's a bunch of sober people. Are you kidding me? If you owned a restaurant, you would love if 20 sober people came into your restaurant. You'd be like,
exactly. Low risk, man. Party bus company standpoint, I thought the same thing, right? I thought, God, it's super low risk for my company, damages to vehicles or anything like that. More to do. Like I said, man, more to do. I want to have there be things for people to do who are like me, who want to just be around other like-minded people who are in recovery. And somebody even asked a really good question within that discussion about sober nights out was, what about people that are not necessarily sober, but would like to join in on a sober night out? And I thought, that never actually crossed my mind. I thought, man, the more the merrier. As long as nobody's partying like that, like I'm good with whoever comes. And that, I don't know, man, in my mind, I have this, I think it could turn into something real legit.
Yeah, I think so too. A lot of people are jumping on the bandwagon with that.
Sobriety?
Yeah.
It's the new Jesus.
Right. Think about it. If you have a daughter and she's of age to go out and meet a man to get married and settle down, and he says, hey, I'm in recovery, you would go, okay, cool. Like, how long you been sober? Okay, cool. Like, we have something in common and we can talk about this, and you could see if he's for real or not. But if he's just like, oh, nah, man, I just drink, on the weekends, I'd be like, oh, shit. I remember saying that. Right. I remember being in that same spot. Leave his ass. But back to your point of the podcast, though, by listening to what you have to say and what you've been through, everybody has a different path. And you were saying that, I think I'm the only one that's going through this. And you're not. But at the same time, when you're in the room alone talking to a microphone, you feel kind of stupid sometimes. But you have to just realize that, you're doing it for yourself. And just imagine like you're talking to a friend, or just like when I got into radio early on, that's what they said. They said, like, picture a person. I'm like, who? And they're like, your mom. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell my mom funny things. But like they said, have a picture of somebody mentally that you're talking to, and just always keep that person there. And that person changed from different format to format. When I went into country, it went from like a dude who's working in a garage to like some dude who's wearing overalls. I don't know. But anyway, it was a mental picture that I had that I was talking to. So just kind of use that. And I don't really picture somebody who's in active addiction listening to our podcast. I don't know how many people. I wouldn't have listened to this podcast if I was in active addiction. I didn't have time for it. I kind of view it as like, okay, somebody who's either in recovery, that's listening, or a family member of somebody who has a problem, who they're trying to like learn and figure out, well, how do I help? What do I do? What do I say? So I just kind of go with that aspect of it. And maybe I'm reaching the person, maybe I'm not. But once you kind of figure that out, it'll be easier when you find yourself talking into a microphone all by yourself.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm long time self-conscious, right? So even I told my therapist, I was like, you want to know how self-conscious I am? I said, I'm even self-conscious when I'm alone, right? I was like, and that's the time you think you would not be. But I said, I still am. I said, that's the part that bugs me about it. But I think it's an attrition thing, right? Each time you talk, it's a little bit better, right? when I started a limo company, each time when I'd ride in a limo alone, I felt so weird. Like, I don't feel like I should be in this thing, doing this thing right now. But as time has gone on, you get more comfortable with it. And I think it's with the podcast. Once you feel comfortable with it, right, you feel like you're actually doing something worthwhile. It probably gets to be much easier, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sitting and talking to you, easy. I think, the advice on pretending you're talking to somebody makes a lot of sense. In that when I'm sitting and talking to somebody, I always think this would be all I'd need to really be productive in a podcast, is to have like somebody I'm talking to, even if it's not in the literal sense. Mm-hmm. So that is good advice. I think that'll definitely help me. And otherwise, we'll figure out bumps, kind of like anything else you learn as you go, right? Read up on it and try I didn't know anything about Party Bus when I started in the business. I was a sales guy who knew how to manage people. My saying is you can do anything as long as you're sober, man. That's the truth. Cause you just feel focused, feel confident. Like, I mean, I was sending you stuff, but I think that was trying to distract myself about starting a political party. I was sending you that. I was for real. I was like, hey, man, let's just start this. But I think I was doing that to distract myself from the miscarriage news. But, I was just like, we can do that. Like, how do I do it? You can, nowadays, it's so easy to research stuff. And how do I do this? How do I do that? The old days of, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how. Well, that doesn't work for us anymore. We're sober. We don't have to play around. We can go right after it and get it. And, you can be afraid all you want. Some people are afraid of success, though. That's a real thing. I've dealt with that. You're waiting for it's kind of not an act of fear of success so much as it's a fear of like the other shoe to drop, right? So, my company's doing really good this year. We've set sales records almost every month since the busy season started. And I'm really happy with it. But but I also have an ongoing, it's lighter. I've worked hard on it, but it's there. Fear that a shoe's going to drop. It's going to ruin everything. Right. And you're back to like, I have a fear of going back to being, I'm not successful at all, right? Even though I'm super low chance of that ever happening, I would tell you the likelihood of me ever drinking again is so minuscule. It's not even relevant. But I still have this fear of being successful, because then you go, then what, right? What does that even look like? Now I don't have any worries about like my long-term future. I don't know. It's hard for me to ever even describe it when I talk about it with my therapist. But yeah, man, a fear of success is a real thing. People have fears of having money, right? Because they only know not having money. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fears around that can be challenging. For me, I try just to not, when I get on that line of thought, I try to focus myself back on the present right now and remind myself that all I'm doing is a little bit every day to try to chip away at what I'm trying to achieve in the big picture, right? My goals are huge. Mm-hmm. My company goals are huge. My personal goals are huge. But you got to do what you got to do no matter what. Like, for instance, I am, and I don't think I've even told you this personally, I am in the process of going through a divorce right now. So trying to run a business while I'm going through a divorce with my business partner, and doing that while in active recovery and trying to just stay level on all of it, right? I have days where it's very, very hard, where it's very challenging to like focus, or days where I got lots of emotions running through me and I'm feeling extra sad, right? I'll call a doctor if I'm not feeling right for, some days at a time, and talk to her, just anything I can, right? Because I don't like sitting with those feelings unaddressed, but there are days, bro, it's terrible, right? I'm thankful though, because I had a thought like I'm smoking. And this is where I realized how secure my recovery is right now. I recently had one of those just horrid days, and I actually thought about smoking, and I haven't smoked in like 13 months of cigarettes at all. And I had that moment of like, I want a cigarette. And then immediately behind that, my conscience came in and was like, why would you want a cigarette? You don't smoke. And I had this second, Corey, where I was like, oh, wow. Like, my recovery is doing so good that like my conscience is just telling me, why would you do that? and that was it. Right. And that thought of smoking was gone that fast. But I walked away from all that day thinking, man, even when you were feeling horrendous and like things couldn't be worse around you, your recovery is still rock solid. And even all the way down to smoking cigarettes, right? That's how confident I am right now in those things. And that little moment just reassured it all the way through, that even though this is terrible and not what I want to be going through, that I'll be just fine. My recovery is going to be safe as well as I go through it. That's a powerful, confident feeling to have.
When you were thinking about smoking, did you think about going to the store to buy some, or just that you wanted a cigarette in your hand, in your mouth right then?
I flashed through the whole process really quickly. So it was really like, I had this, like, you know how it is. You think of a thought and you see the whole scenario play out in like the count of one. But I saw like that moment, like fast forward to unwrap cigarettes. And in my mind, that's when it slowed down to like, kind of like a commercial would. Ooh, cigarettes. Right. But they're not. Right. And either way. And then that thought, just so much came with that. I have these counters on my phone so that I can look at a tangible number. And I can say, if I make the decision to go the other route, all of that progress is nothing. Nothing. One cigarette makes them zero. One drink makes them zero. Why would I want? What does that come with? That's what I always ask myself. What would that feeling be like to fall off on that? I don't even want to know. I would imagine worse than my worst days of being a drunk. And I don't want to tackle that. So, like, I don't know. Life is good otherwise. I can't even think of reasons that you would get drunk.
Right.
You know what I mean? My friend used to tell me, Jason, you never know which thought will get you drunk. And I always remember that and try to just remind myself of those things. It's no different than cigarettes, right? Which thought will make you smoke? Right? It could be a stressful day about divorce or whatever the scenario is that you go, oh, God, I got to have a cigarette, but I don't know, man. I just don't want that life anymore. And I don't care what I have to sacrifice. I won't have that life ever again.
Do you think if you let your guard down for the cigarettes, like if you would have like, yeah, you know what, damn it, I'm a grown ass man. I can have a cigarette if I want. You think if you'd have let your guard down and had a cigarette, could have opened the door for other things? Or, I mean, who knows?
No.
I mean, it's speculation at this point, but
I don't think so, because I think alcohol is just, I literally don't want to drink. When I quit drinking, I stopped doing something that I otherwise did not want to do anyways. Right. So I have never dealt with real cravings of drinking since I stopped. Have I thought about it in passing a couple times? Yes. But then I think, but then what? That's always the question that follows that thought of using or smoking is, but then what? Because remember, right, 1,000 is too many, or 1,000, what is it? 1 is too many, 1,000 is not enough. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say, like, I have one cigarette or I have one drink. Then what? Do I have another one? And then what? Right? And that's what I ask myself. Then what? And the answer is obvious, right? You could tell yourself, well, I'll only have one, but I'm not stupid or naive. And I know myself well enough that if I justify that first time, justification of that first act is always the hardest. It's the second you always have, well, I already did it in your back pocket. And people use that. Well, what does it matter now? How many times in an AA meeting do you see somebody fall off? Right. And did any of them only drink that one time? No, none of them. None of them were like, all right, we're back sober immediately. And we're back. It's nothing like that. Right. They fall off for a period of time. I fell off once. Since I initially checked myself into rehab and decided I was no longer going to drink, I fell off once for 3.5 months. And then I got sober and I haven't drank since. My once was 3.5 months.
Man.
And anybody's could be. I'm glad that you're getting along right in your sobriety further. It's funny, the things that you encounter. But I always think, right, the thing I notice most in long-term sobriety is complacency. So just remind yourself in the moments, right? I do. I know you do. You remind yourself in those moments of why you did it. Look what you made, look what you've achieved, all those things. Because I think that's the kind of the dose you need of reality to keep you from becoming complacent.
For me personally, doing the podcast, yeah, that helps, talking with Marnie and stuff, giving people rides to treatment. Like, holy my God, like it just reminds me, I don't want to be in that back seat again, and to see where these people are. And then when I give them rides home from treatment, it's just like, wow, like it's night and day, man. Their future is wide open for them. I don't want to be a month sober anymore. Like I don't ever want to be back there ever again. And you're right. What's going to happen then? You smoke a cigarette, for me, that, I don't know. I used to smoke. I quit. I vape now. You don't even do that, but cigarettes taste like shit. They really do. Yes, they do. So if you were to even smoke a cigarette, you probably wouldn't even smoke the whole thing, because you'd be like, what the hell was I even thinking? That's a horrible idea. Like, why was that even fun? And then you realize, oh, it wasn't. And the same thing with drinking. So, my question earlier about, you think if you would have smoked, if that could have led to, something else, but it probably wouldn't have, just because of the fact that you would have realized, well, that was a horrible idea and that was a waste of $10. But you didn't have to make that decision because you were like, no, I'm not doing it because I don't smoke. It's the same thing.
I don't smoke.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I don't drink. No, I'm not going to do that because I don't drink. I don't take pills. I don't smoke weed. Like I'm not going to do that, and I don't ride motorcycles. I don't swim with fish and sharks and stuff. I'm not jumping out of airplanes because I don't do that stuff. So yeah, why would I drink? I don't drink. I don't eat fish.
No.
So
no, it's tough out there, bro. It's tough out there. If you look, it's really simple though, right? If you are looking for reasons to drink or to smoke or to do drugs, you'll find them.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for reasons not to, you'll also find those, right? You'll go after whatever you want. Like what I've noticed over the years of like AA meetings or friends that I talk to that want to quit, I get a lot of people, you probably have this too, which is a lot of people hit you up on the sneak who are not necessarily in recovery, just kind of kicking the tires on it to see like, what's this shit about that I hear you talking about? Because that's what I have happen, right? But the problem is what everybody fails to realize, that it's the answer to stopping is very easy, right? If you feel like you are giving up something, like, oh God, I have to quit smoking. Oh, I have to quit drinking. When you look at it as though you're giving up something great, right? That's hard to stop doing, right? But if, like I tell you, for drinking, I didn't give up anything I wanted to do anyways. So how hard is it for me to not do something that I also don't want to do? Very easy, right? But if the whole time I was sitting here in recovery, and this is what dry drunk is, right? I kind of resent that I can't drink. I feel like I gave something of a positive variety up. But if you think that, then you will go back, right? It's just a matter of the when. When will you go back? Whenever that one day you have enough of an F it. Today, F it. Whatever that reason is. Instead of like, I don't know, man, it's hard for me to understand the other side really, because I've always been happy about my choice. I think that's the biggest part of it, right? You can even grieve the loss of drinking if that's what you need, right? But at the end of the day, man, you don't need to make it into this big mountain. You're just not drinking a substance. Imagine if they had Kool-Aid recovery. Oh, Corey, I'm hooked on purple Kool-Aid, bro. I can't live without purple Kool-Aid. Well, Jason, downtown, they have these great purple Kool-Aid meetings for people who are just like you, addicted to Kool-Aid, right? You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. It's all frame of mind. The second you stop making excuses for it and go, hey, just ain't for me, and I'm better off without, and you are accepting of that, man, your recovery will go smooth.
I don't understand because I don't drink no great Kool-Aid. So you're a weirdo, exactly. Jason. See, that's what we gotta get away from, though. Because I do understand because it's sugar, and I've lost like 40 pounds. It's great, man. I can move better. It's just especially in, like sexy time stuff. It's really helped, Jason.
Got the periodic table of sex poster up on the wall now, so you guys are hitting all the angles.
Yeah, my book's coming out. But anyway, usually that's Marty telling me to move along. But if now I'm thinking about COVID sex again, Jason. Damn it. No, but if people could just realize, though, that we can be addicted to just about anything, whether it be sugar, like I was kind of talking about earlier, sugar, church, working out, and just moderate it in a healthy way, like those things. There's no way I can moderate drinking. Like that's impossible. I can't just have one cigarette a day. That, for me, that's just not going to work. But those other things, like, I go to church once a week. Okay, that's cool. I work out 3 times a day. If you can just set a schedule for that kind of stuff, I think that's easier. Like with ice cream, there's this stuff out now. It's called Carb Smart ice cream.
Yeah.
That is heaven. Does it taste good? No, but you get used to it and you make it taste good. And I see the benefits of it. Like I had somebody say to me the other day, well, isn't that like drinking non-alcoholic beer? I don't know. Let me ask you, Jason, is that like drinking non-alcoholic beer?
Bro, I feel like, yes, it's exactly the same thing as non-alcoholic beer, because like, I'm just trying to figure out, why are you so dedicated to ice cream that you'll eat these like
it's delicious
samples, these stool sample ice cream that tastes like cardboard?
Because it's more like chalk, but it's good because it's ice cream.
I quit eating ice cream regularly. I was on it like you, right? And I stopped ordering, because in East Lansing you can order ice cream and have it delivered to your house from about half a dozen different places.
Wow.
And so I had to stop altogether because I got silly with the Cold Stone Creamery ice cream. And I'm not going to eat diet ice cream. I'm one of those people that I know what I'm getting into. And so I decided not to. And I quit ordering Uber Eats stuff, right? I'm down like 20 pounds myself. Little brother, like we're all on the weight loss. Little brother's down 55 pounds right now as well.
See?
It's crazy. Look at us. Maybe we shouldn't have got fat in the first place. We wouldn't be so successful at losing weight.
I know, but it's those decisions that you make, though. And I really didn't want diabetes, so I was like, maybe the doctor's right this time. So sugar and carbs, I'm cutting it out.
Maybe you should wash down that ice cream with some O'Douls. Get some O'Douls and cardboard ice cream and sit out on the deck with Marty.
But see, I didn't drink because of the taste, though. But see, the taste of the ice cream is something that brought me back to a happy place, I guess. It did the same thing. It didn't do the same thing as alcohol, but it kind of did, but it didn't.
That's how it works with sugar.
It made me happy. Eating sugar, it's delicious sugar makes me happy and takes me to a happy place, where I guess drinking just numbed it all, where I didn't have to think. I didn't have to just block it out. I used to come home and just I don't want to think anymore. I just want it all gone. So I guess they did different things, but man, sugar is a bitch.
Isn't it way better though now? If you're listen, this is the for sure. You've lost 40 pounds. So whatever you're doing, that's fine. If you're eating stool sample ice cream, like that's great. Right?
Yeah.
But
so
all that matters is that you're happy. At the end of the day, it's this simple, right? If you're happy, that's all that matters, bro. If somebody else doesn't care for it, who gives a shit? Right? People nowadays worry a lot more about what the next person's doing and not much about themselves. I feel like that's maybe in reverse. Maybe you should worry a lot more about yourself and less about other people, and we'll all be a little bit better because we're focused on ourselves, right? It's very easy. You're down 40 pounds. Like, who gives a shit how you got there? Good for you, bro. Congrats on losing 40 pounds. That's a big deal.
And maybe that goes for me too. Like, maybe I shouldn't judge people who drink Old Duels. Like maybe they actually did like the taste of beer.
Love the taste. Right.
Maybe they did. Hey, who am I to judge?
Their own, bro.
Yeah.
To each their own. That's what I'd tell you. To each their own. Let everybody do what they're doing. I'm going to go ahead and worry a bunch about myself, and you go ahead and worry a bunch about you, and that is going to be the secret sauce.
Yeah. I mean, not everybody likes grape Kool-Aid. Some people
not everybody likes that grape Kool-Aid.
No, somebody thinks it's spare, like grape Kool-Aid, whatever. Just saying.
Grape Kool-Aid for suckers, bro.
Yeah. So, hey, I got another question for you too. This is on some real stuff. I'm not going to say his name, but he is a friend of mine who lives in Battle Creek, and he used to shoot heroin all the time. It was a big deal, big problem. He actually got to a little bit of an accident while he was high, and a little trouble came after that. Well, then he got put on this little court program thing, and since then, though, he hasn't shot up any heroin. So that's good, except he turned to alcohol, and he went to the hospital because he was detoxing from withdrawals. And then the court gave him more time on his sentence.
More like more time, and oh my God, really?
Yeah. And so now he's afraid.
We still treat addiction with jail.
Yeah, he's afraid to, because he's like, I know I need help, bro, but I can't go to treatment. I can't go to detox. I can't do anything until I'm off this stuff, because if I do, they're just going to give me more time.
Wow.
I know.
That's remarkable.
I know. I'm just
oh my God. What a terrible position to be in for him.
I know.
And what a failure of his agent and that judge for not seeing the very obvious situation at hand and making a move on it. That's one of the glaringly obvious places where there are shortfalls in the system, because that's an easy solution, man. Like, we're going to punish somebody because they are trying to get help.
Right.
Seems a bit ridiculous to me.
Because the accident happened because, well, he was high. He's got a substance use disorder. So let's punish him. Okay, sure. He went to treatment, did all that stuff. Okay, well, he's not using that, but then he went to drinking. Went to get help. Well, let's give him more time. He's not supposed to be drinking. Like, huh? Like, that would be like punishing me for trying out some new ice cream that maybe did have carbs in it, but I didn't know about it. That ice cream had sugar in it? Damn it, I didn't know. Or I don't know. It's like it be like me replacing sugar with carbs. Like, I didn't know it turned into the same thing. Like I didn't know it turned into glucose.
Yeah. And it's tough. Alcohol does the same thing to the brain that heroin does. That's why it's such a common transition for people who have left using heroin to go into alcohol. It literally stimulates the same exact parts of the brain. But there's a fine line, right? Because there's a fine line between choice. Because I believe in substance use disorder, right? Where there's always there's a deeper problem that manifests in use, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a point. I'm sure the court looks at it like this, right? At some point, where's his culpability? Where's his responsibility? Be above and beyond, like, just doing the minimum to not get in trouble.
Right.
So it's a tough spot for him. I'd be heavy on them AA meetings. I'd be light on the excuses. You know what I mean? If that means I got to go stay with somebody, like, who cares? I find that anything, if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. Like, if he wants to be sober, actually wants to be sober, then he will be.
Yeah, because my thing is, I worry about the whole detox situation with him, because he's hardcore with it, and I think withdrawals could be really bad for him, and seizures, and people die from that. So I worry about that. And I have never, ever been able to just wean myself off successfully, personally. So that's where I kind of worry about him with that. And how comfortable is he going to be going to an AA meeting when he's had to get a fifth in them just so we can stop shaking, you know, like,
Sure.
I mean, do you just tell them to hang on? I mean, you just, I don't really know. I mean, I guess can't really tell anybody to do anything, but
I'd have to ask my agent. That would be have to ask my agent, and have to be one of those off the record conversations where I say, I need to ask you as somebody I can trust to ask advice from, and not as my agent for 5 minutes, right? So if they no, I need help here. I need your advice. I don't need my PO advice. I need your personal advice here, right? Yeah. What should I do? This is the situation. This is where I find myself. What can I do? Because ultimately, that's what's going to happen. Like, they're going to have to allow some kind of treatment. You can't. There's something missing here, Corey. I feel like.
Yeah, there's a piece missing, but I can't really bring it to the table.
Fair. That's fair. I mean, we are on a podcast.
Mm-hmm. They listen to us in Afghanistan, so I don't want to give out secrets.
I'm a communicator, though, buddy. I'm a communicator. I'm a believer that yes, there sometimes can be shortcomings by way of communication, but yes. I think most of the time those are not the case. And I think you're always just better served talking to somebody who can genuinely answer the question. Maybe it's a lawyer, right? Maybe he talks to a lawyer and buys a lawyer's time for 20 minutes for $100 or something. And they're able to say, hey, this is what we think you should do, kind of thing.
Well, there's
always a way.
There's a certain thing where he doesn't have to have a lawyer because he's already
within the system.
Yes, sort of, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
I talked to the lawyer for sure.
Yeah. And it's not a court that you and I would go to. It's a different kind of court.
Okay.
But it's for people. Sorry, that's the worst way to go around it ever on the earth.
For people?
Of the history of the earth, of the world. Yes. But yeah.
For people.
Yeah, of the world. Of the earth. Of the nation. But But yeah, so there's like some stipulations there. So it's like if they say jump, you say how high, you know, and it's like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not a big fan of those people anyway. They take a little bit of accountability for it, but not a lot. And they just want to kind of just say, okay, no, you just go back to life now. And it's not that easy for some people. So there's a lot of mental health issues, and, you know, substances are a way to numb yourself from that. And
of course,
clearly he's got issues with it. And yeah, to just slap him with more time, I think is just stupid.
If they're dealing with outside things like that, Corey, that's somebody that needs to talk to somebody, right? I'm not like some crazy person. I talk to a therapist every single Monday morning at 8 a.m., right? Because right? Because why not?
Right.
Because I spend $20 to have my week start balanced and feeling like, all right, I got this shit on lock.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas sometimes you don't feel that way. Like, I don't care how long you are sober or anything like that. Everybody, whether they're in recovery or not, you just have periods of time that are really shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no way around it. Sometimes life is really shitty for no particular reason other than you're in a bad stretch. The difference, right, as you get further in recovery, or somebody that is early on in recovery or hasn't even started yet, is their ability to tolerate those things, right, and keep it pushing. Whereas I don't see a value in going to get drunk. You don't see a value in going to get drunk. But somebody else out there might see some value. Somebody might see a ton of value to it. Oh, I'm going to forget all about this. How many times on Friday do you see in your Facebook news feed, can't wait to have a drink. God, I need a drink. Get me to 5 o'clock for a drink. Every day. I can see it every week. And it's just to each their own. But I don't find the value of it, right? So, and I won't again find the value of it, because I have worked really hard to understand why I feel how I feel and how to manage all of that. And that works tremendously.
When are you going to start the podcast?
Well, so I'm going to talk to you another time, for just personally about it, but I would like to get this thing launched by the 1st of October, if not sooner. I just, when I listen to some playback, I'd like it to sound like I'm not terrified of talking in an empty microphone in an empty room by myself. Once I don't sound like a ridiculous person, but I'm hoping by October 1st.
Well, let me know if you need any help, support, whatever. Like you said, we'll talk off this podcast and get you set up with whatever you need from me, man. For sure.
I really appreciate it, buddy. We're on this journey together, man. It's good having a team.
For sure. All right. Well, I'm happy that you're in the 217 Sober League. It sucks that you auto-drafted, so I couldn't really comment on your team choice selections, but...
We're looking solid. I feel like the Sober Stompers are going to be putting ass kickings all over 18 weeks.
Yeah. Would you get an F+?
I mean, I got a B on my draft rating. I got the Tampa Bay defense, and I got Fitzmagic.
Yeah, we'll see. It's good to be a part of stuff like that and doing it sober. And I'm glad that you're a part of the league, man. This is going to be a lot of fun this year.
Heck yeah, buddy. I'm glad to be there, man. We'll catch up again soon for sure.
Thanks for listening to the 217 Recovery Podcast. Win a bunch of free shit from 217 Recovery. Go to the app or the website, 217recovery.com.